Hello everyone, Joel Mauer here. I bring some news before I begin. As of this day, this is my last day here at CCOC for summer at this moment in time. This means I won't be able to do any current tech news at a weekly fashion until I get back here. I hope this doesn't deter you watching past episodes and the like, and enjoy what videos I have posted on the internet. Well, anyway, how about we get started with current tech news, shall we? This one I was saving for this special occasion. A father-son chat leads to first-of-its-kind NASA spacecraft. This is a video here that I didn't want to load up. And I'm not going to because it's probably going to be horrible with the setup I have. It's funny how a conversation actually started this. As we look at the highlights of this was the spacecraft was based on a father or son talk, and now that is absolutely a pretty interesting thing, how the imagination works. Even it says here that the human imagination is an amazing thing. Take, for example, the story how a simple father and son chat led to a prototype spacecraft for landing on other planets. This all started on a Friday evening in 2009. NASA engineer Stefan Altmenis, I think I'm pronouncing it right, I'm sorry if I'm not, arrived home from work feeling, kind of frustrated. Altmenis, who was the chief engineer at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, believed the agency was under incredible pressure and scrutiny for literally high budget costs. NASA's ambitious Constellation program to develop a next-generation rocket was about to be canceled. He says this: "The environment was a sense of uncertainty and chaos and redirection." And Altimus has told CNN last week on the phone, and he believed what wasn't being used to contribute to NASA's future. That responsibility to make sure every dollar is spent exactly right within the agency sometimes calls for stiffening of innovation. What NASA needs was innovative fire that made it okay to try and fail and learn from mistakes. His 15-year-old son knows that little problem. "You never talk bad about NASA, Dad," Altmus recalled his son saying. "The conversation that followed," the engineer said, "was a moment of inspiration, instigated by my son." They sat down at the family dinner table and talked about how to put NASA back on the map with a bold mission that seemed nearly impossible. A short time later, Altmus created a few charts, and his son put together an illustrative YouTube video. I'll link the video into the description below for those that are curious on seeing it. I said, "What if we unleashed the power of engineering and did things our way, and we're not deterred? What could we do together?" It was a radical idea. Build an unmanned spacecraft with a robotics explorer and send it to the moon within 1,000 days. Its engines will be powered by liquid oxygen and methane fuel. The vehicle will also have a self-guided laser landing system that avoids it coming down on big boulders and other hazards. His fellow Altimus' fellow team members said yes, they were in. Yay. The Optimist told him of his crusade to a higher level, briefed an officials at NASA headquarters. We told him we got an idea that was going to change the agency. They were like, yeah, this is really good, but politically this may not fly. Nevertheless, Project M was born. Insert baby noises here. We had no money, we had no endorsements from leadership, we had no authority to proceed, we had nothing. All we had was his commitment to do engineering in a lean, affordable way. Despite a shoestring budget, and his team cobbled together the parts and technology they need. They bartered, they traded. At first, a whole lot of political fallout came trying to squash the project, Altman said. Nevertheless, Project M gained momentum. It was nothing like what NASA was used to. Eventually, the whole attitude changed. This is already baffling. And not only was this just a father or son conversation about how I put NASA back on the map, but this was during their own time, making a project that is basically treading new ground and the like, and this is actually pretty exciting in itself. By June 2010, Project M ended without making it to the moon, but it resulted in an offshot project called the Morpheus Planetary Lander. An unmanned spacecraft that can haul 1,100 pounds of cargo. Morpheus looks like a four-legged metallic spider on steroids. I wish I had an image of that right now because I want to see that. Given what this thing can do without risking human lives, the 4-year program was a steal at $14 million. Compare that to the approximate $1.7 billion cost of one space shuttle. That's billion with a B. Thank you. No, we didn't know that. Mainly, Morpheus serves as a testing platform for new technologies that could take both unmanned and manned spacecraft to other worlds. It's the first NASA prototype spacecraft to be propelled using liquid oxygen and liquid methane. It's also the first to use a suite of laser-based sensors as a kind of autopilot for dangerous landing situations. Well, I found an image, but the bad news is it's during the tests. The technology demonstrates on Morpheus are directly applicable for future robotics and eventually human missions. Morpheus project manager John Olanson told CNN via an email that including landing on asteroids, the moon, Mars, and even Jupiter's moon, Europa. Heck, the U.S. President Barack Obama has called for astronauts to orbit Mars by the mid-2030s. So we're looking somewhere around in the year 2030 to 2039 that soon we're going to have people orbiting Mars. How are they going? That's going to be a tricky endeavor. They have to invent like some sort of food synthesizer or the like. But its development wasn't actually smooth sailing. In 2012, during an engine test of a Morpheus prototype, the lander rose a short distance, rolled over, and slammed to the ground. It caught fire immediately and exploded 30 seconds later. Ouch. Thankfully, there was no injuries, but the crash was a huge setback for the team. That's what Optimus said. NASA quickly picked itself up and figured out how to fix the problem. We'll also post a link on that as well. Today, the latest version of the Morpheus lander is a centerpiece for the agency to show what a fantastic team it is, and what incredible things can be done with it, just sheer willpower to imagine. This is what Optimus said again. Who in 2013 ended a 25-year career at NASA to start an engineering and products business based on space technology. Basically, this guy retired after 25 years of working for NASA to build engineering products based on space technology. That's got to be interesting. The sophisticated self-guided system that prevents Morpheus from setting down on hazardous landing zones could be used on a lander that could safely put astronauts on another planet. The autopilot could greatly reduce astronaut workload during the critical phase of a manned mission. This is what Olan said. It opened up areas for exploration that were once considered too dangerous for even robotic landing, like the north and south poles of the moon, which are riddled with craters. In fact, during the next decade, NASA plans an unprecedented mission to send astronauts to an asteroid, a feat that would be historic. Training has already begun. On May 9th, 2 astronauts performed a simulated asteroid spacewalk at the Houston's facility's 40-foot deep low-gravity simulation pool. They practiced on a mock-up of an Orion, NASA's manned spacecraft, which is still being developed. I'll also post a link on that as well, just out of curiosity. Amazingly, NASA planners hope to design a robot spacecraft that would capture an asteroid and haul it to a stable orbit near the moon. Next, astronauts aboard the Orion would spacewalk to the asteroid and collect rock samples that will help scientists learn more about the components of asteroids. It's possible that Morpheus fuel, liquid oxygen and methane, could be found on Mars or other planets. This opens the door to the idea that a Morpheus-like lander could refuel there. Here's how it might work. An unmanned fuel-making spacecraft would travel to Mars ahead of the lander. The fuel-making spacecraft would then harvest methane from the atmosphere. This is what Ultimus said. If there's water in the soil, you would harvest the water and break down the water into oxygen and hydrogen. Then the lander sits down near the fuel-making spacecraft and uses the oxygen and methane to refuel for another flight. How amazing that if a father and son talk across a Houston dinner table back in 2009 had even the smallest connection to a journey to another world. Human space exploration is part of our DNA, says Ultimus. It's as simple as that. We as human beings will find a way to strive, to create, to invent it. As long as there are planets in the sky that are unreachable, somebody's going to try to reach them. All I can say is, yeah, most likely someone will. Someone can. Because, in my honest opinion, we humans are more than this. We are a curious race that wants to explore the boundaries, see new things, share the new things to people that haven't seen them, that sort of thing. And to think that a father-son chat at dinner caused this. This is just inspiring stuff here. If something like that can happen, imagine what imagination can do for other things that people said is basically impossible. Only time will tell at this endeavor. So I'm going to say it's been a treat. It's been a treat doing these videos. Not only is it informative to the best of my abilities, but it's also helping me learn how to speak a little properly. I just hope that when I come back to here, I continue doing these, because these are actually helpful for me, and plus it informs people that don't really look into these things and just see random stuff, and then they see one of these videos and they're like, wow, just wow. Well, on behalf of the Current Tech News team, aka me, I say this is Joe Maurer signing off. Hopefully we will see each other again in the future. Who knows? Till then, take care.